Hey everybody, Mac here, and we are going to do some more absolute value equations, okay? And so this is version C, so I do have a version A and I do have a version B, okay? And all of those you're going to be able to find on macstutorials.com, macstutorials.com, all right? And so if you can like and subscribe to these videos, it really help me out. But let's go ahead and go over these, all right? Don't mind my dog snoring in the background. I could wake him up, but I feel bad, and I think it's kind of funny anyway. All right. Anyways, x plus 1 equals 5. The way you get rid of an absolute value is you go x plus 1 equals, and you go plus or minus 5. So we want either the positive or negative version of this. I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. I'm going to get x equals, now I'm going to write this negative 1 in front of the plus or minus sign. So I'm going to write negative 1 plus or minus 5. Well, what's the negative 1 plus 5? That's going to be a positive 4. And what's negative 1 minus 5? Well, just think, add a line, change the sign, and I'm going to get out of that, signs are the same, I'm going to add and keep the sign. All right, and those are my answers. Now, just to double check, if I were to plug a 4 in there, what's 4 plus 1? 5. What's the absolute value of 5? 5. What happens if I plug a negative 6 in there? Well, negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. What's the absolute value of negative 5? It's 5. That's why we get two answers, okay? Because we need to get both a positive and a negative value of whatever expression's inside that absolute value. All right, let's go to number 2. I'm going to do this one a little bit differently. Instead of just writing plus and minus against the 4, I'm going to write the equation twice. I'm going to write it as it is, okay, just without the absolute value. And then I'm going to write it, but I'm going to take whatever's on the right and I'm going to make it negative. Okay, that's the other way to do it. And then you just solve it twice. Okay, I'm going to get x equals 13. And then on the other one, when I add 9 to both sides, I'm going to get x equals, signs are different, subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number, which is positive. Okay? Number 3. This one, because of the 2x plus 8, there's kind of a lot of math in there. I'm not going to do the plus or minus 6. These types always seem to work out better when people write them twice. Okay? And again, it's got to equal a negative 6. Okay, now they're just two-step equations. I'm going to go through these pretty quick because we did these in chapter 2 on macstutorials.com. And so I hope you forgive me for doing these quick. If I am, and you're going, whoa, slow down, I need more time, what I'm going to ask you to do is go to chapter 2 on macstutorials.com. And I really go nice and slow to make sure you really get these. And if you can solve these problems as comfortably as you see me writing them right here, and you do the process, I think you're going to really like these absolute values even more. Okay? All right. Here we go. Number 4, same thing. I'm going to write this twice. I'm going to write it normal, just as written without the absolute value. And then I'm going to write it again, but this time I need to take that 15 and I need to make it negative. All right, so let's add 10 to both sides. I'm going to get 5x equals 25. I'm going to keep solving and I'm going to get an x equals 5. Okay? Then over here, once I add 10 to both sides, I'm going to get 5x equals, signs are different, so you subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. If everything I said there made your head spin, go to chapter 1 on Mac's Tutorials. I spent a good amount of time going over negative numbers in such a way that you're never going to make mistakes on those again, and you'll feel super comfortable. All right, 5, I've got to stop and think. I'm only allowed to go plus and minus when the absolute value is all alone. Well, the absolute value is not alone. It's got this minus 6. So step number 1 is to get the absolute value by itself first. Okay, you can't go plus and minus until the absolute value is all alone. Okay, now it's all alone. Now I can do it. X plus 5 equals, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a plus or minus 13. I'm going to do it this way instead of writing it twice. Now when you subtract 5 from both sides, x equals negative 5 plus or minus 13. Well, what's negative 5 plus 13? That's an 8. And how about add a line, change the sign? Signs are the same. Add and keep the sign. And you can always plug these back in for x if you don't believe me on this, okay? But that's how it works. Wow, he's really snoring. You okay, buddy? You breathing all right? Hey, Samson. Okay, he's doing all right. All right, here we go. Sometimes they forget to breathe, and so they snort a little bit. Here we go. He's a puggle. kind of like a pug. It's a pug and beagle. They don't have as crazy of a snout as a pug would. But they still have some of the breathing issues a little bit. All right. So now all I'm doing is I'm working on getting the absolute value by itself. When you have a number in front, treat it like it was a parenthesis, and we're just going to divide by that. And then once I just kind of rearrange the furniture a little bit, now I get absolute value of x minus 2 equals 6. Now I can play this game again. But again, I can't do that till the absolute value is alone. All right, so once I do that, I get x equals 2 plus or minus 6. What is 2 plus 6? That would be 8. What is 2 minus 6? Well, add a line, change the sign, and you're going to get a negative 4. All right? Number 7, we want to get the absolute value all by itself. So step number 1 is to subtract that 1. And I'm going to get absolute value of x minus 9 is going to equal 9. Or x minus 9 is going to equal a plus or minus 9. That's how we get rid of the absolute value. And once I add 9 to both sides, I'm going to get an x equals 9 plus or minus 9. What's 9 plus 9? 18. What's 9 minus 9? 0. And that's how we get our answers. All right, one more column. You guys are really hanging in there. I hope this is helpful to you. I really believe it will be. So thank you for coming here and valuing this help and staying with this video so long. Okay, so here we're going to cross out the 3's. I'm going to absolute value of x plus 4 is going to equal 7. Once I get rid of those absolute values, I have to write plus or minus 7. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. X equals negative 4 plus or minus 7. Well, what's a negative 4 plus 7? That's a 3. And add a line, change a sign, I get a negative 11. Okay, and those are my answers. Let's go to 9, okay? I need to get the absolute value all by itself, so I'm going to add 3 to both sides. That's step number 1. And I'm going to get absolute value of 2x minus 8 equals 12. Now, when it just says x minus or x plus, I'll usually do the plus or minus. When there's anything more, it's just better to write it twice. You're going to feel better doing it that way. And remember, the second one, you have to make the right negative, okay? So let's just finish. Add 8 to both sides. Yeah, it takes a minute to do these, but that's okay. Well, not even a minute. Look at that. X equals 10. That was nice and quick. Let's do the other one. I'm going to add 8 to both sides. Again, this is all in Chapter 2 on Max Tutorials. If I'm going too quick for you, make sure you go back there. Really master this because you're going to do a lot of this in math and in Algebra 2 and all that. So the basic solving of equations, something you want to become a pro at as quickly as you can. So number 10, what if I had a problem that said 4x plus 2 equals 18? What would you do? You want to get the x by itself, so you'd go minus 2 minus 2, right? Well, look at this. This is just the same, except for x, I have all that. So on this one, same process. That's why I go minus 2 first. All right? And I'm going to get 4, not parentheses, absolute value. And then that's going to equal a 16. Now I'm going to divide everybody by 4, and I'm going to get absolute value of x minus 3 equals 12. Now I can go x minus 3 equals plus or minus 12. That's how I get rid of the absolute value. And when it's all said and done, I'm going to get x equals 3 plus or minus 12. Well, what's 3 plus 12? 15. How about 3 minus 12? That's a little weird. Add a line, change the sign. Hey, that's just a negative 9. Pretty cool. All right, let's go to number 11. Okay, so I want to get absolute value by itself. So I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. And when I do that, I'm going to get absolute value, x plus 1 equals 4. Now I'm just going to get a normal x plus 1 equals a plus or minus 4. That's minus 1 to both sides. Sorry, got a little ahead. X equals 1 plus or minus 4. Negative 1 plus or minus 4. Well, what's a negative 1 plus 4? That's 3. Negative 1 minus 4, add a line, change the sign, and it's negative 5. All right? Number 12, same thing. I want to get the absolute value by itself. So number 1 is going to be adding 5 to both sides. Okay, and I'm going to get 5 absolute value of x minus 4 equals 25. Now when you divide each side by 5, you're going to get absolute value of x minus 4 equals 5. x minus 4 equals plus or minus 5. When I add 4 to both sides, boom, 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 you're going to get x equals 4 plus or minus 5. What is 4 plus 5? That would be 9. How about 4 minus 5? Well, add a line, change the sign. It's a negative 1, and that's one way to do it. Okay? I got a couple more here. I need to get the absolute value by itself. So step number 1 is to move some numbers, rearrange the furniture a little bit, okay? And that's going to give me my absolute value all by itself. So now I can take it out of the absolute value, and because there's a little more math to do in here, I'm just going to write it twice. I think it's going to be easier for you. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. But when I write it the second time, it has to be a negative. Okay, so if I add 6 to both sides, boom, die, I get 3x equals 15. And when I divide both of these, I'm going to get an x equals 5. Okay, on the second one, I'm going to add 6 to both sides. And now I'm going to get 3x equals, signs are different, subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. And once I divide each of these by 3, I'm going to get x equals negative 1. Okay? And last one, 14. This is another one. I've got to get the absolute value by itself. So my first step is going to be to add 6. Okay, and when I do that, I'm going to get 2, absolute value of x plus 7 equals 18. But that 2 is in the way. I get rid of that by dividing it, and I'm going to get absolute value of x plus 7 equals 9. And now I can go x plus 7 equals plus or minus 9. And when I subtract 7 from both sides, x equals negative 7 plus or minus 9. Well, what's negative 7 plus 9? That's just 2. And negative 7 minus 9, add a line, change the sign. That's going to be a negative 16. And that, my friends, is version C of how we're going to do absolute value equations. Okay? So now, once you understand that, now we have to do them with inequalities. And those are a little bit weird at first, but once you get in, you're going to find those to be just as easy. And so I hope this is going well for you, and I will see you guys on the other side.